Hello, I'm Adinser, and oh my god, does the new expansion look awesome! I mean, the first impression I got from the trailer alone was really lackluster. Not enough content at all, not enough cool stuff to show, but when they started talking and describing all the new systems and features, I was really impressed. And I did keep notes, so I'll go through them quickly. First, there was the launch event, which I think will be way better than the Warlords one. When they started explaining what the Tomb of Sargeras will be, I thought it was the first raid where we would fight Gul'dan, but for a launch event, if it goes as they said, it should be awesome. Now, the central theme of the expansion is similar to what the leaks have been saying, in that it would be the Lost or Broken Isles, but the only difference is instead of Ashara and Trolls and Kul Tiras, we got the Night Elves and Burning Legion. Again, I guess, but the places are the same, and I'm glad my wish actually came true, and I am going to explore Suramar and Black Rook Hall and all the different Night Elf ruins and structures that still remain to this day. The Night Elf lore and race in general is my favorite in the whole WoW universe, and then I know a lot about it since I read all the books about them. Anyway, there's artifacts which on one side it has the potential of being a really bad system in a way that there wouldn't be any progression of finding new weapons and having that amazing feeling of getting a really rare and cool looking and awesome new weapon, because you'll be stuck with one the entire expansion as I understood it. So that's a really tricky road they're going on, because a weapon for most classes is their defining equipment slot, especially for melee, of course. But as for the system itself, it looks like a really good system. The most interesting part about it is it's another talent system, which is another form of customization, and customization of any kind is a really good idea in an MMO generally. As for the cosmetic side, they really look cool and unique, but still maintain their original form. It would be kind of funny seeing all the paladins wielding Ashbringers and all the shamans Doomhammers and every other class having the same weapon. Although they could increase the amount of cosmetic customization in a patch or a hotfix or whatever they like. So in the long run, I think that there will be a lot of different variations of those weapons, and later down the line they might even not resemble the original weapon. Artifacts, really cool idea, but with a major pitfall if they don't include a lot, and I do mean a lot, of customization within the system. And one more thing about the artifacts, you get them by doing a quest for your class, or should I say spec. So that raises a question, do you have to do 3 of those quests for each of your specs, or what? But outside of that, it's a really cool idea, and it does resemble the class quests that were removed from the game, which was a shame, really. So moving on to class orders, it's essentially the same as the Death Knight starting zone and the Druid teleport to Moonglade spell. So now every class has their own little place that they can hang around in, and the main functionality of those class orders are the champions you will have. So they are basically the followers, but if what they're saying is true, then it won't be the same system, and it will include a lot of world exploration and doing stuff on your own instead of your followers, or in this case champions, doing so. It could actually be a good thing, and the most important part is that they aren't focusing their entire expansion on it like they did with Garrison. So, and if you love lore, I guess that the champions will be already known heroes of Azeroth that you can command and order around. As for dungeons, they have 9 starting instances if I'm not mistaken, and that's more than Warlords started with. And they did say that they want to focus more on dungeons this time, but they, to be honest, they say that every single expansion, and look how they turned out. But as for the 3 instances they showed, actually the Vault of the Wardens, where Illidan was and where all the demon hunters are going to start leveling, looks okay. They haven't shown a lot of it. A Blackrook Hall, which is the impenetrable fortress from the War of the Ancients books, and the person who commanded it was Lord Ravencrest. It wasn't what I imagined. I did imagine a lot more rugged castle with no plant life, no halls decorated with flowers and rugs and stuff like that. I did read the books like 2 years ago or something, but I remember it being solely created for military purposes and soldiers to live in, but I could be mistaken. So I don't like the aesthetic, but who cares. And then the Halls of Valor or Valhalla. From the one screenshot they showed, it looks really cool, and it reminds me a lot of the dungeon from Cataclysm that was high up in the skies in Uldum. I can't really remember the name, but it's a lot of the same patterns, gold, white, wind, light and stuff like that, so it really resembles that. And they actually gave us all the middle finger, or the ones that made the speculations that the next expansion would be Eye of Ashara, by naming a dungeon Eye of Ashara. Ian even pointed that out. Now as for raids, they're doing literally the same thing they did in Warlords. First raid with 7 bosses, that's the Emerald Nightmare. And it is our first encounter with the Emerald Dream, or Nightmare in this case, but it shows us that the next expansion could really be the Emerald Dream. But that's way in the future. For now, the main boss is Xavius, and the scenarios will probably help us or even die in that raid. The second raid, same as Blackrock Foundry, will have 10 bosses. It's Suramar Palace, and the main boss is Gul'dan. I really didn't think that they would do this. The general consensus was that Gul'dan will take us over to the next expansion, not be a boss in the second raid. But anyway, Suramar isn't the same as Hellfire Citadel, by no means. It's the capital city of the ancient Night Elf society, and from the screenshot they showed, it looks magical, elegant, graceful, same as they described it in the books. So it doesn't matter if Gul'dan is the final boss, the whole instance will be Night Elves probably, and some creatures of course, but the aesthetic will be purely as described in the books and as a Night Elf capital should look like. And obviously they didn't talk about the raid after that. As for the zones, they do look a little bit lackluster and not really distinct enough. Although if we talk about lore, as I said in my previous video, they can't really depart a lot from the Night Elf influences, and because all of those islands were populated by the same civilization, so they can't innovate a lot. And that's a real problem. Of course, I can't make that judgment just from seeing the screenshots, but it looks to be that way. Anyway, we'll have to wait for the beta. And I have to come back again to the lore. They included actually a couple of things from every single theory and leak there ever was, for this expansion of course. They included Ashara, she will be in one zone, and her minions, the Naga. They included Illidan and his return, the Titans and their blessing. Obviously they aren't coming yet, but maybe at the end of the expansion or something like that. Then Gul'dan, the Night Elves, and even Sargeras. So a combination of every single leak and of every single theory, but I hope for the best. And a lineup like this is really strong. Plus they teased Aurelia and Tyrellion, and even before they teased it by saying we'll see them again, they teased it with a screenshot from the upcoming trailer, the longer trailer, not the teaser that we got, where there is a human soldier that resembles Tyrellion but has dark hair. I don't remember if he had blonde or dark hair, but it does seem as though it was him. Anyway, moving on to the Demon Hunter. From the footage that they showed, it looked like an action RPG. The class felt like a rogue from Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning, one of the games I really enjoyed, and the rogue in that game actually wields the same weapons. They're called Fey Blades. And it looks amazing, really awesome, and really interactive, and not so hotkey based as the other classes. A lot like the monk was, but even more emphasis put on the abilities that are purely skill shots that have to be aimed. And it is a agility class, or I think it is. It's based on really fast movements, dashing, backpedaling, or not backpedaling, but jumping backwards, and a lot of abilities that Illidan had in Warcraft 3 and Heroes of the Storm. It's really nice to see a new class after Warlords, and they really needed to make one. No new race, but hey, that's to be expected. They showed off a lot of customization models and pictures, and yeah, they looked like Demon Hunters. Nothing new there, but they showed even the upgraded ones that you can reach with an ability, I guess. Anyway, you start at level 100, although I'm not sure, they didn't say, they just said you start at a higher level. They didn't say exactly what level, or I didn't hear that right, but yeah, having another hero class after so long. The only one was the Death Knight, and that was like 5 years ago or more. And they will obviously have their starting area be the class order. The main thing about Demon Hunters is that they will have only 2 specs, one DPS spec and one tanking spec. First, I was a bit disappointed. The more I think about it, it's okay to have one DPS spec, because if they do have one, it will be a lot more exciting and fleshed out and more fun to play than if they mixed 2, because the Demon Hunter in general doesn't have a lot of abilities to begin with, let alone be a ranged assassin or something, and having 2 melee assassins is obviously not that likely to happen, because they already have 3 assassins in terms of rogues. They have 3 specs. So, and the video they showed when they combined a lot of abilities to make an interesting fight against 3 mobs. It was really fun to watch, and I really can't wait to play one. And it did grab me the same way the monk did for Mists of Pandaria. And to be honest, the monk made me buy Mists on launch day, which I usually never did. So if they didn't do it for Warlords, now is as good as a time as any. So the final thing that they announced is PvP version 3, or Honor System version 3. And again, they didn't really talk about it in detail. There seems to not be any gear involved and no currency, just a set of abilities that you can customize only for PvP. So that will be the only PvP progression you will have. And judging by the amount of customization, it looks to be a good system, because you will unlock everything really fast with the first 10 levels. So you will be as powerful as everyone else if you spend only a little time on gaining that honor. But after that, every single level will give you more options to choose from and more customization, and in effect make you in some ways more powerful, because those abilities you unlock later down the line can be better for your particular spec. But anyway, it seems to be a good system, and the only question I do have is this going to be only for battlegrounds and arenas or for world PvP as well. If you're a horde and meet an ally, will these all suddenly become available? And that's a tricky thing to do, because if you have it all available and you maybe switch to PvE gear, PvE spec, and you won't have any of these or spells on your hotbars, will it become available because you're on the 50th honor tier? Unlikely. So as far as I gather, you will have the same gear in PvE and PvP, but when you join battlegrounds and arenas, you will have these upgrades. The main logic behind doing this for them is balancing PvE and PvP, and that's been a problem for a while now. Or that's been a problem since WoW launched. So finally, after all these years, they are separating PvP and PvE completely, and that could be a good thing if they balance it correctly, of course. And there's one more thing about these honor ranks, is that when you reach level 50, you can choose to reset the counter and start at level 1, but you gain prestige that gives you cosmetic customization of your portrait and maybe something else as well. And mounts, maybe even pets, and most importantly, more versions of the artifact weapons. So now we will have a lot more cosmetic stuff in PvE than we ever had in the history of WoW, and that's really good to see them actually caring about PvP again. Although there isn't a new arena or battlegrounds revealed. It might be that they are not finished and they are still working on them, so they didn't want to reveal them so soon, but I think that in every reveal that they did up until now, they did include new arenas and BGs. So that's a major gripe, since we didn't get any in Warlords as well. So I'm hoping that they actually do implement some. Anyway, I can't think of anything else. I probably missed a lot of stuff, but my first impressions on the new expansion, as I said at the start when they showed only the cinematic, I was really pissed and really disappointed. But when they started talking, oh my god, the features, the land, the lore, the characters, it all seems great, and it's good to be back on Azeroth again. Although they didn't shake off the art style of Warlords. Everything looks the same as in Draenor. Not the whole aesthetic, but the smudged colors and a move away from a more cartoony art style, but that's only a personal thing and a minor gripe. So I'm really excited. I tried not to get hyped about this new expansion, but seeing all of this and knowing that it is only the beginning, that they will implement a lot more stuff. Of course, oh yeah, I forgot that they didn't mention a release date, or even a beta release date. The only thing that came out of Tom Chilton's mouth about that was that the beta will be later this year. And that only leaves one solution for the beta and for the launch as well. Because he said that it would be only logical to assume that the beta will be available after BlizzCon and or at BlizzCon and after BlizzCon, and the launch will be after the new year, so January, February and the whole Q1 of 2016. Despite my saying I won't get hyped, I'm really hyped for this. The feeling will pass soon, but now I have to get back to work and make a Holy Priest guide that I've started working on today. Anyway, thanks for watching and see you next time.